Good evening, everyone. Welcome. My name is Jane Shodel. I'm the lead programmer for the special presentation program, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to tonight's Canadian premiere screening of Women Talking, directed by Sarah Polley. We are pleased to welcome you to the Visa Screening Room at the Princess of Wales Theatre. Thank you to our longtime major sponsor, Visa Canada. I would like to thank our lead and major sponsors, Bell, RBC, and Bulgari, for their continued support. Thank you to our major supporters, the Government of Canada, the Government of Ontario, Telefilm Canada, and the City of Toronto for their continued support. This film is eligible for the People's Choice Award. Vote for your favorite films at tiff.net/vote. We would also like to thank Universal Pictures Canada and Orion Pictures and United Artists Releasing for providing us with this film. Thank you very much. Writer-director Sarah Polley's fearless adaptation of Miriam Toews' acclaimed novel grants us access to a tight-knit, cloistered religious community in which women struggle to recover from an epidemic of abuse. Featuring riveting, emotionally complex performances from a stunning ensemble, Women Talking is a drama of harrowing revelations, fraught alliances, and the search for grace, while its characters grapple with the most profound of existential questions. Though it is suffused with the pain of trauma, it is also permeated with a stubborn sense of wonder and a quiet joy in community. We're very grateful to have the opportunity to have a Q&A afterwards with our guests, but please join me in welcoming home Sarah Polley.
Thank you. So excited to be home and to be showing this film in the place it was made. Thank you. I want to thank TIFF for the constant support of my career as a filmmaker from my first short film since I was 19 years old. Thank you, Jane, for writing program notes that are better than anything in the script. Humbling. Thank you to Orion, MGM, UAR, and Universal for the incredible support throughout this entire process. I'm so thankful to all the people that are here tonight from those places who believe that this film deserved a large canvas and have made the life of this film possible. One of the silliest things about our industry is that the people who work the hardest don't make their way onto these stages. There are many people sitting in the audience right now who worked on this film and poured their hearts into it. I'd like to ask everyone who worked on this film to please stand up. Being the partner, parent, child, friend, or sibling or support to someone in the film industry can often leave one bereft, as a loved one disappears in body and spirit for months at a time. And none of us would be here if it weren't for our families or our chosen families and the endless support and sacrifice that they make to allow us to throw ourselves into imaginary worlds. I'd like to ask everyone who's a partner, family member, support, or friend of someone who worked on this film to please stand up so we can say thank you. Almost everybody's here, which is kind of incredible given the size of our team. Some of our cast, I think, are in the audience. A lot of our crew are in the audience. Frances McDormand, Ben Wishaw couldn't make it tonight, but send their best and are so excited about this screening. Hildur Gunnadóttir was just outside with us, but had to get on a plane. And I'd like to introduce you now to our stage party. Just don't come out as soon as I say your name because I have something to say about you and it's going to be super awkward. Okay. I'll give you a cue. Dee Dee Gardner is a simply miraculous producer and human being. I think, yeah. No. I had more. I have more. Yes, I can. I can still do it. Once when I emailed Dee Dee to thank her for shoving impossible obstacles out of my way for the 1,000th time, she replied, "Of course, a safe harbor is the job. Anytime, boo." She created that safe harbor for me again and again, and she dazzled me with her creativity, her strength, and her grace. Let's get on. Her partner in crime, Jeremy Kleiner from Plan B, is also somewhere in the audience tonight, as is Lynn Lucibello and Emily Jade Foley, the producers. And Frances McDormand, of course, found this book and brought it to Dee Dee and initiated this project with us. Wait till I say Miriam and then come out, okay? All right. Miriam Toews wrote a novel that seared through me and so many others. It raised essential, challenging questions that I couldn't stop turning over in my mind. She was supportive at every turn making this film, and she's a wildly generous human being. She's one of the best writers this country has ever produced, Miriam Toews. Okay, I'm going to introduce you to our cast. There was so much love between these actors, and to get to watch them work together and see the community they built together was definitely the best experience that I will ever have. When we auditioned the brilliant Shayla Brown, we knew we had to create a role for her, and I can't imagine the film without it. Shayla Brown. I ended up in a similar situation with Kira Galoyan. I just thought, how do we make space for this incredible actor in this story? Kira. I first saw Liv McNeil's short film that she made for a grade 9 project on YouTube during the pandemic. You need to look it up. It's called Numb. It's on YouTube. She's a great actor, but she's also a brilliant filmmaker, and this is her first film role. We saw Kate Hallett's audition after a huge search, and we knew as soon as we saw her tape that she was what the film needed at its core. She's a brilliant artist, she's a beautiful human being, and this is also her first film role. August Winter is a magnificent actor and gave so much of themselves to the incredibly complex role they played and to the making of this film. August. Michelle McLeod knocked us out when we met her, and she kept us laughing constantly, which we desperately needed. Michelle. Jessie Buckley has a pure, raw power that I think is unraveled in any actor of our time. She was constantly surprising us and had the courage to constantly surprise herself. She is pure love, passion, and strength, and I'm honored to know her. I've always admired Rooney Mara as an actor, but there were some things I was just not prepared for. There are few people as capable of holding space for others and allowing for the enormous complexity of the human spirit without any judgment. There was one person in the world who could have played Ona, and that was Rooney Mara. Claire Foy is an acting machine. She often had to do something difficult literally 130 times as we went around the room for 3 days, and she did it at the same intensity for everybody else's close-up. Her technical skills are inspiring, as is her constant generosity to her fellow actors, and I've been a super fan of hers for years. I've never told you that. There. I grew up in awe of Sheila McCarthy. She's exceptional not just for her performances, but for the way she keeps other people's experience in mind constantly and is so supportive of the whole crew. Sheila. There's only 20 more. There's one more. My brother Johnny and I almost passed out when we got to meet Judith Ivey. We revered her, and even more so now after witnessing the center of groundedness and warmth she created, both on the set and within the story. Judy. We're very proud and honored to be here tonight, and we look forward to the Q&A afterwards. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, everyone. We're really pleased that we have a little bit of time to have some conversation with our guests about the film. If you have a question, if you could put your hand up and wave it back and forth, it'll help me see you against the lights. Admittedly, it's hard, but I will do my very best. If you could keep your questions as brief and succinct as you can, I will then repeat them for the... I'm still kind of verklempt about the movie again. I will repeat them for the benefit of everyone in the theater. I think that's it. So please join me now in welcoming and congratulating Director Sarah Polley and the cast of Women Talking.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Ow.
Yes, in front here, please.
Well, I just want to say first, thank you for your incredible performances. I'm a huge fan of Claire Foy, all the way from the crowd. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jessie Buckley, my question is to Alter and the director. So it reminds me of the Amish society today in America. So if you know that in Pennsylvania, does that draw any ideas when you're writing of the book? So how you design the society?
I see. I think, first of all, the gentleman congratulates everyone on their wonderful performances. And he'd like to ask Sarah and Miriam, was this based somewhat or inspired by the Amish societies in North America? And did you have some ideas? What were your discussions about how to build a society?
It was Mennonite, and I will throw that question to Miriam, who grew up Mennonite.
Yeah, okay.
It was a Mennonite society. There are similarities between the Mennonites and the Amish, but yeah, it was the book, the movie, inspired by the events that occurred, the attacks, the rapes that occurred in a Mennonite colony in Bolivia. And I think the movie, though, is not set specifically in a Mennonite colony, but all Mennonites will know that they're Mennonites.
And I also just want to acknowledge, because it's probably the only time I'm going to be able to thank him publicly like this, the photography of Larry Towell, who was hugely influential to the imagery and who's here tonight.
Oh,
Thank you, Larry.
All right. Another question, please. Yes, go ahead.
My question is mostly for Miriam. First of all, congratulations, that was fantastic. I was curious, the book is narrated by a man, so I just wanted to know if you could talk about that choice. I know we're not talking about the book, so I wanted to also ask Sarah why the transition to the different narrator and just sort of what that signifies.
So the question is for Miriam. The novel is narrated by a man, but clearly that's not the case here. So perhaps it's again a question for you and for Sarah about why you made the choices you did.
There were important reasons for the novel to be narrated by a man. It's women talking, it's men listening, learning, taking notes, and a million other reasons. But when Sarah told me that they had discussed and decided that the film would be narrated by a girl, and that did make a lot of sense. It's a different experience. It's a different watching a movie, hearing a man's voice, hearing a woman's voice. It's a different experience physically, emotionally, psychically. It's a more than reading a book, and I think that it was a good choice. I think it works well and best for the movie, and that the male narrator works best for the book. Sarah?
And I loved the narration in the book. I loved that it was through August's voice and his minute-taking. And I always imagined that would translate to film. And as Miriam said, it's a different experience. And I think we needed, in the film version, more immediacy and connection to the women's experiences. So it was, and that was a very collaborative decision to sort of change the narration. That was, a combination of a few people's ideas that sort of led us there.
Okay, all right. There's two of you there. Go one and then the next.
Okay, amazing film and amazing performances and direction. I haven't read the source material, but my question to Sarah and I guess the cast is how do you balance such amazing performances and how did you choose to go through all the characters? Like it's just so fantastic how we got to experience each of their trauma and witness all of that.
She's not familiar with the novel, but she's asking you and the cast, how did you manage to find balance, to have a moment with every character story, to find that equilibrium amongst the story?
I mean, the characters are very fleshed out in the novel, but I did a pass of the script from each character's point of view. So everyone got 2 or 3 passes where I was just tracking their character to make sure they both came to the fore, but that also we were keeping what they were going through alive in the background when they weren't.
There was another question next to you.
Congratulations. It was a very beautiful, empowering movie, girl power. I'd love to know from everybody what they would like audiences to take away from this film.
She'd like to ask everyone, what would you like audiences to take away from this film? That you all loved Greta?
And her horses?
Hashtag Team Ruth and Cheryl for life. I hope that audiences take away the fact that there is no one option that is better than the other or braver than the other. To stay and fight takes immense courage. To leave a situation that is unsafe takes courage.
and to stay and do nothing also takes immense courage.
Yes, there, please. Yeah. She's asking each member of the cast, and obviously whomever would wish to speak may do so. She says that it's clear that you are all completely invested in what you're doing. Can you speak a little bit about what it took from you and what it gave to you?
Okay. What it took from me and what it gave to me. Honestly, after hearing about the events that this film is inspired by, and then reading the script and reading the character within it, honestly, for me, it validated a lot of things that I needed to hear as a woman that I didn't realize I needed to hear. And it not only helped me kind of get my power back as a woman, I really hope it helps you get your power back in some way, shape, or form, however you want to interpret that.
Would anyone else like to?
I would say it took me away from my home and my husband, who I dearly love, but it gave me so much I never expected to have. And one of the great gifts at my ripe old age is being in a project with 9 beautiful women who are wonderful artists, directed by a wonderful female artist, produced by a beautiful female producer and another female producer, and that's a rare, rare situation, unfortunately. And as I said earlier today in an interview, it may not happen for me again in my career's lifetime, but I hope it becomes the norm for all of these young women up here.
Right there. Yes. Yeah. The gentleman is asking about your personal connection to the material. What was it about the material that brought out your drive to make the film?
My husband just spoke at a law conference called Rage, Reckoning, and Remedy. And there was something about this story, and I just couldn't believe it when I saw the T-shirt, because it just felt like what we've been living in for so long. And I think that, you know, as a woman, in general, you've had really, really difficult, possibly traumatic, damaging experiences in this world. And the idea of moving through the rage, unpacking it, reckoning with it, and finding or thinking about or having the courage to imagine a remedy, or a different world, or just the imagining of something else, as opposed to just talking about what we want to tear down, to talk about what we want to build, was enormously hopeful and helpful. And the novel did that for me, as it did so many women, I think, was just to allow your imagination to expand beyond the confines of the personal experience and of the damage, and to look forward.
There's a person standing there. Yes, thank you. Go ahead. Was that your question? Yeah. I'm sorry, I spoke over you. Please start again. Thanks. Okay. because I promised to repeat the question, and I'm going to fail miserably. However, I think if I can praise the gentleman, first of all, says congratulations and thinks you should win multiple Oscars. And so let's start there. But he's also speaking about the timelessness of this story and the urgency of it, and how he feels it's very important that the character of August as the male perspective, that's really important here, that there needs to be more male participation in this conversation. And I'm wondering maybe if you could speak a bit more about that too.
I mean, what I always loved about the book is that the only man you really get to know is a very, very good man, and who actually knows how to listen and how to be of service and how to be helpful. I think in terms of what you were talking about, the political context of now, like, you know, this film at its core is about a group of women, many of whom disagree on very essential things, having to find a way forward together because it matters too much not to. And I kind of think that's the position we're in, is we're gonna have to like make some really big mental leaps to figure out together how to work together, how to build a different world together, despite huge chasms that might seem unbreachable.
I've received the signal that we're out of time, and I can't think of a more perfect note to end on. I'm so sorry, but it's true. Please join me in congratulating them and thanking them for bringing the film. Thank you so much.